It's here, the IXEG 737 Classic Plus for X-Plane 12. Wycliffe Barrett here with a very quick review. I reviewed the original IXEG about 7 years ago, I think it is. I looked for the video on my channel earlier. But this is the new one for X-Plane 12. It's all been remodeled, it's been redone, the systems have been revamped. Everything about it has been redone. It's absolutely amazing. And if you already own the IXEG 737 when you had X-Plane 11, you can get this for $14.95, which works out to around about £12. Here are some of the preferences screens because they've changed this slightly. So you've got a number of different preferences here. As you can see, there's like general and miscellaneous and all sorts of things to do with the sound levels and different attributes that you want on there. There's also ground states as well, so you can have cold and dark, turnaround state, or ready to fly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a cold and dark start, really just to show you what the cockpit looks like and the cabin. Nothing really fancy, as I say. It's just a really quick kind of overview as opposed to a deep review of the aircraft. If you've got the IXEG 737 previously, you know how it works, you know how it operates, but with the new one, of course, has done lots of good things. I mean, the doors finally open. Not only do the doors open, but also the cargo doors open as well. And you can see right inside there. And if you scroll up and down the aircraft, you can see inside, you look through the windows, you can see the seats as well. Here's the start state that I was on about. So the cold and dark, turnaround, and ready to fly. Now, I will tell you, I had some issues trying to get the sound to work, and a number of other people have. It's a case of making sure that you've got everything set correctly within Windows. Now, if you're in Windows 11 as I am, it's really quite, it's not complicated, it's just that it can be a bit onerous because Windows 11 will actually automatically shut down your headset if you're not doing anything, and it kind of does the same thing with sound as well. I found in X-Plane 12 it's happened a couple of times in different aircraft, so it does take a little bit of messing around with to get it for the sounds to work. Here you can see the list of all the failures. There's quite a lot of failures, but I've never used failures. I mean, you listen to real world pilots, and the number of failures they have is very, very rare indeed. In fact, one pilot who's very famous on YouTube admits to never having had a failure at all. Where do you get it from? Of course, you get it from X-Aviation. Full price is $84.95. I'll put up what that means for GB and for euros as well. So we'll have dollars, euros, and Great British pounds. Here we are then inside the cockpit. This absolutely looks gorgeous. I'm pretty sure they've redrawn everything. I didn't look in the old one, but I did look at the video that I reviewed when I reviewed it 7 years ago, and yeah, for sure, I'm sure that graphically it has all been updated. And of course, you've got the AVI tab there, which you can activate from the preferences screen that came up earlier. Although that being said, there's not an awful lot in the AVI tab. It's not like if you was in the Zebo where you've got loads of different options. It's just mostly to do with manuals and such like. I was hoping there might be a fuel planner in there, but there isn't. So to put fuel in the aircraft, you just use the default weights and balance thing in X-Plane 12. The doors are animated, and I love this. I open, you turn the handle, and then you have to push the door, just like in real life, to get it open. Opening the handle only opens it that little bit. You have to push it out. And look at the thickness of the door as well. It was perfectly contoured with the aircraft hull, so to speak. And closing the door is a case of clicking. You click on the edge of it. If you stood in the wrong place, if you stood in the opening, you'll get stuck inside the door and you can't move, which happened to me earlier. Here's the cabin. Of course, there is a business class, first class section, and going through the cabin. Something I noticed, which I was really pleased with, is that the seats are numbered correctly. You look at that, that's row 8, ABC, and row 8, DEF, which I really like. I remember there was a very famous aircraft, 757 I think it is, from Flight Factor, and the seats are the right numbers on one side of the aisle, but on the other side of the aisle they're the same numbers, but they are backwards and reversed. Really weird. Just looking in the cockpit here at some of the detailing, look at this, you know, dirty marks, scuffed up, as you would expect for an aircraft of this age. The yoke all scratched, somebody's ring finger probably scratching the yoke there, taking the paint off. You've got your checklist. I wonder how many people actually use that. I wonder how many real-world pilots use that, or whether they just use a paper checklist. I think probably just use a paper checklist. So we're going to start the aircraft up, make sure ground services are on, which you can find in the preferences screen. You just move your mouse to the left of the screen and that will come on. There we go. Just start up the APU, and you know, just making sure that the overhead is configured correctly. Yeah, turning on the fuel pumps. You don't have to turn them all on. You can just turn the left-hand one on, really, if you want. But I always tend to turn them all on. APU is now coming up, and the sounds in this are absolutely amazing. They've redone the sounds. One thing I'm slightly disappointed with is that a lot of the switches, they sound the same, and they might do in the real aircraft, I don't know, but you can hear them, that's the main thing, whereas previously in a lot of other aircraft you can't. So I'm going to be starting the engines in a moment. Just need to make sure, yeah, no smoking signs, seatbelt signs are on, and we'll align the IRS. Or maybe I've already done that whilst I was talking and didn't notice. Yeah. Just checking the overhead. Here we go. Align the IRS up at the top, so don't set it to align, set it to nav. And I think I've got it on instant. You can have it on real time, which is about 7 minutes, or you can have it instant. I put it to instant. The 3D modelling in this is superb. They've really done a fabulous job. A little bit later in the video we look under the glare shield and you actually see how big the glare shield is, or should I say how deep it is, not big, deep. So turn the ground power on, ground connector. When it gets to 22% on N2, you lift up the fuel lever from idle, or should I say from cut off to fuel. 22, there you go. Oh, just listen to that sound. Absolutely wonderful. So left hand engine, you always start the right hand engine first, or engine number 2, and then we go to engine 1. Once again, you can see N2 spooling up there, and when it gets to 22%, we'll put the fuel in. Here we go. Boom. Listen to that sound. There you have it. Absolutely wonderful. Let's just have a quick look outside, make sure the turbines are spinning. Yeah, they're spinning. They're spinning, without a doubt. Reversers. Just checking they're working. Now, I have not configured my joystick, and I'm using the Thrustmaster Airbus combination of throttles and joystick, and I haven't configured anything. I just installed the aircraft and literally everything works. All the buttons work. My trim up, trim down buttons work. It's you know, flaps, parking brake, everything works, and I haven't configured it. So I think maybe IXEG have got a script in there that recognises hardware and automatically configures it. That's the only thing I can think of. I'm not sure whether the tiller works. I didn't check that, which I have on a twist on my joystick. So maybe that's something I need to look at. But absolutely beautiful. Look at this. I mean, some of the reflections on the glass and everything. I'm just putting in, where I'm at, Cardiff. The one thing they haven't done is they haven't enabled a gate positioning. So even if I'm on gate 9, but it doesn't work. You can click the button as much as you want next to the gate. It's not working, and that's a hangover from the old days of X-Plane 10. Well, X-Plane 9, X-Plane 10, and was it 11? Definitely in 10, whereby Laminar said that it wasn't really important to have gate numbers. It didn't affect the position of the aircraft because they were using coordinates for the position of the aircraft on the ground, which I can understand, but it's always been nice. Some developers created the ability to be able to put the gate number in, but originally in X-Plane 10 you couldn't put gate numbers in. And that's a hangover even for the IXEG. Just spooling the engines up to have a listen. Absolutely wonderful. So you've got a number of different sound controls. You've got sound controls within the IXEG, which I think are independent from X-Plane 12. Because if you go into volume controls in X-Plane 12, you'll see that exterior and interior aircraft sounds are right down at 0. So I think the volume controls for the IXEG are within the preferences screen that I showed you earlier, and you just use those. You don't use X-Plane 12's volume controls. I hope that makes some sense. But just quickly looking around the aircraft, it's absolutely stunning. You can see rivets everywhere. And we've got that nice shine on there. We're in the Jet 2 livery. And I mean, if you can afford to buy this, if you haven't bought this previously and you want to get this and you're an X-Plane 12 user, then it's well worth the money. It's a lot of money. Granted, it's a lot of money, $84, but it is absolutely stunningly beautiful aircraft. Fabulous to fly. It's a dream. And I really, really hope that if you do buy it, that you really enjoy it. I know that I'm going to be flying this an awful lot. My name is Wycliffe Barrett. This is X-Plane Dedicated. We'll see you soon. Cheerio.